Lizzie. So I'm wearing my California shirt, and I've been told by mental health professionals in California that there are tens of thousands of people misdiagnosed with bipolar in California, which kind of seems like an exaggeration. Contrasting people with bipolar, on average, it takes going to 5 different therapists or psychiatrists before getting the proper diagnosis. All of this may contribute to these 5 misconceptions or lies you probably believe about bipolar, even if you've been following me for years.
And I know I've got some issues with my mental health. I'm trying to do better this time. So this is goodbye.
Before I get into the 5 misconceptions, I want to say one more thing. In the 90s, bipolar was referred to as manic depressive disorder. For whatever reason, they changed the official name to bipolar disorder. It could be a plethora of reasons, but my hunch is that they thought manic was a super stigmatizing word and would have weird connotations, so it was better for everyone to just say bipolar. But I think the opposite. I think making it really black and white, manic depressive, would have been better overall to create basic knowledge about what it is. Number 1, and this is the most common. People think that bipolar is abrupt emotional changes. So you'll go from happy, excited, angry, sad, irritated, annoyed, just throughout the day, minute to minute, up and down into different emotions. But if you spend 3 minutes reading from the DSM, the official diagnostic criteria of bipolar, it'll be really obvious that the episodes are not up and down day to day. You'll be in a severe depression episode for 8 months. You'll be manic for 1 month or 2 years. If you're manic for 2 days, if you're depressed for a week, you cannot be diagnosed with bipolar. The episodes are longer. And it is ambiguous because there are mixed episodes where you'll have some symptoms at the same time, but still, mixed episode will be for a length of time. And I think another reason for this stigma may be that, especially in guys, but women as well, depression could manifest as anger. And so if you're in depression and this state of anger for a long period of time, you could lash out or get randomly angry at someone more than usual. But again, that won't be from joy, annoyance, anger, irritation. It'll be 8 months of getting more angry, being more impatient at someone. My experience with my family and friends living with me and experiencing my symptoms is that most of the symptoms are really, really hidden. And most people in my life, unless they feel my forehead and tell that I have a fever, that I'm really hot, or look in the pupils of my eyes and they're really big manic or really small depression, if people don't see these tiny physical indicators, a lot of times they don't even know what episode I'm in. So if you know someone who's kind of up and down emotionally, they could have borderline personality, which has more abrupt mood phases, or they're just a person who has intense emotions, completely separate from being bipolar. I also get a lot of people trying to diagnose their significant others with bipolar. People who message me, they're just dealing with someone who's up and down emotionally, and having extreme emotional changes is not at all correlated with bipolar. Number 2, and I'm gonna make an entire video on this soon, bipolar disorder can be cured. So I meet a lot of people, not a lot of people, but I've met people who've said they've cured their bipolar. Or there are people who encourage you to go on meds and then you'll get better and then go off of your meds or pray it away. And sure, There are some rare situations where God may have intervened and cured someone's bipolar. And there are times when someone is misdiagnosed with bipolar and then thinks their bipolar went away, but they weren't bipolar in the first place. So yeah, you might hear this 0.01% of stories where someone is claiming their bipolar is cured. But in reality, bipolar is a progressive, chronic illness. If it is untreated, you will get permanent brain damage. The condition will get worse. And so thinking of it as something that could be cured, I think is really awful because it encourages people to be medicated for a period of time and then stop. That's a horrible idea. You'll either go severe depression, suicidal, or super manic, driving 100 miles per hour, jumping off roofs, spending tens of thousands of dollars. It's not curable. Stay on your medication. If bipolar could be cured, don't you think all of us would just take these meds to cure our illness? Like, it's absolute hell. Everyone would do the cure, but there's not a cure. When you are born, your DNA, you're born with specific genes that will turn on and give you bipolar. When I was in my mother's womb, I was bipolar. It's really, really dangerous for you to talk about bipolar with the phrase cured bipolar, no longer bipolar. Anyone with bipolar has a 50% chance of committing suicide, 25% chance of going through and killing themselves, huge rates of alcoholism, drug abuse, divorce. And so stop saying stuff like this. You're creating mindsets that are getting people killed. Number 3, bipolar disorder is constant symptoms. So this could be why number 2 lie exists. But once someone is stabilized on medicine, they will not experience the 2-month-long manic episode, 8-month-long severe depression episode. They'll be balanced on meds, and yeah, there might be a few breakthrough symptoms. Sometimes my pupils get bigger, I kind of have a fever, my heart's beating faster, I tweet so much more, and I'm sort of manic. But it's nothing compared to a full-blown manic episode. And if you are bipolar, I hope that this encourages you that if for an entire year you're constantly changing, tapering with your meds, and it seems like nothing is working, eventually you will find a medication balance. And it took my psychiatrist 8 months to tell me this, as it was constant kind of panic, awful symptoms. Every single month appointment was, this isn't working, this symptom. But after a year and a half of seeing this psychiatrist, I finally got on 2 medications, 300 milligrams of Lamictal, Lamotrigine, 200 to 100 milligrams of Seroquel, and I don't even have to see my psychiatrist every month. She gave me a 3-month prescription this past appointment because I'm balanced on medicines that I'll probably be on the rest of my life. And so I am so confident I will never experience an 8-month-long severe depression episode ever again. I'll never get to a point where I'm running through red lights and speeding and could spend thousands of dollars at once because I treated my bipolar. I'm on medication. But to clarify, I did not cure my bipolar. You have to stay medicated or the symptoms will happen again and cause the permanent brain damage. This is not chill to keep believing these lies. Please share this video with anyone else in your life. Number 4, any relationship, specifically romantic relationships, is where this stigma is the most. Any relationship with someone who has bipolar disorder will be toxic. From my perspective, it totally seems like this because I get so many messages daily from someone who is married to or in love with dating someone who has bipolar disorder, and it's an absolutely horrible situation. They're on drugs, they're cheating on the person, they're leaving the family, they're spending so much money, they're suicidal. It's this uproar and chaos interrupting the entire life, and they're not able to have a peaceful, stable relationship. But the distinction between something that could be unhealthy and toxic and a healthy, normal, stable relationship that I would argue could be even healthier because of the skills they've gained in therapy from treating and understanding their bipolar. Sorry for the giant run-on sentence, I hope you guys can follow. The difference between toxic and healthy, and I'm sorry to say toxic, but honestly, a lot of the stories I read, it's awful. I feel so much empathy, and I'm not toxic because I've chosen to medicate myself and do treatment. So that is the difference. The people who have the unhealthy relationship, exactly the same. They refuse to believe that they're bipolar. If they believe that they're bipolar and go to treatment, they refuse to talk about their bipolar symptoms with their significant other. Super common. They just don't talk about it. And even if they believe they're bipolar, they may refuse to go to a psychiatrist to get medicated, refuse to go to a therapist, refuse to go to couples therapy. So that situation is completely different from someone who has been stabilized on medication for years, has gone to therapy, talks in depth, clarifying, open to criticism, open to my boyfriend being like, Liz, I think you're manic right now. Complete communication about it. I'm on medication. I've gone to months and months of therapy about my bipolar. I understand it, I pray about it, I work out every day, I make sure to sleep 9 hours every night. Number 5 is more complex, but it's probably the most important thing if you know someone who's bipolar in having a successful treatment plan. Bipolar is more than just medical, it's psychological. That may seem obvious, but that doesn't correspond with the way it's treated. Most of my psychiatrist appointments are 10 minutes and we talk about my symptoms, how my medicine's going, and that's it. We don't analyze the identity crisis of it. We don't talk about how it's confusing that I feel like my personality or my identity is sort of changing with the meds. It's confusing, it's scary, it's something that intuitively want to push against, go off meds. I have all these temptations, intuitions, confusion about being medicated, and that's never really talked about with my psychiatrist. Ever. If you do have bipolar, or if you know someone in your life who is bipolar, they really need to have philosophical dialogue about philosophy of identity. And literally Google. I really recommend the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. It's amazing. It explains every single philosopher, arguments, everything. And just Google and read and read and read on philosophy of mind, philosophy of identity, talking about what the soul is composed of. Philosophy is the most amazing thing that everyone can connect with, and the most healing thing when my bipolar was coming out in college was that I was taking philosophy of mind, which was all about the brain to soul connection, when I was struggling in my depression. It was amazing. It helped me process and understand myself. And because of philosophy and seeding through all those questions, I've gotten to a point now where I am comfortable with my personality and emotions fluctuating and changing throughout my life. Video's over, but I want to say one thing. I was just tweeting about how I used to have a very black and white view that I was either my early college self that was so intense, emotional, crying all the time, so passionate, barely any sleep, excited, creative, productive, all of these things. I saw it as this personality, then medication, numb all of that different. Kind of contrary to the beginning part of the video, even when you are on medication, there are some breakthrough symptoms, and I think that unlike a lot of other mental illnesses or chronic illnesses, bipolar is kind of part of your personality. And obviously you'd want to get rid of the severe depression and the super manic. It's really awful, hell to experience. But then there's other parts of bipolar that seem to be not connected intimately to an episode, but kind of always exist in your identity. And a lot of times the medicine will not fully work. You'll kind of break through it, still have that creativity. I've been diagnosed with bipolar 1, And my psychiatrist has even said that many of her patients don't want to be fully medicated. Lithium and Depakote are the first class mood stabilizers, super get rid of mania. But then there's second class, the anticonvulsant medicines also used to treat seizures. And these medicines won't numb the mania all the way. So you're still able to be this pre-bipolar self. It's not like erased away. And if it is erased away, then you're on too high of a dosage of a medicine. So just go down on the dosage instead of completely going off meds and ditching your psychiatrist, which I've done a lot. But if you have done it, be compassionate, empathetic, understanding towards your decisions and your past mindsets, and just make a new appointment with a psychiatrist or a therapist and start your treatment plan over again. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!